because I had to record for someone earlier. Okay, this is our recording of our lesson. So D, while I write it, you guys start it. 3x to the 5th, y to the -4th, z to the 8th over 6x to the -3rd, y to the 5th, z squared. And c is 3.6 times 10 to the 19th, and 1.2 times 10 to the -3rd, and 1.5 times 10 to the 13th. Awesome. So we're trying that was.
We're on the P1. You're on the right. You just worked in it. Wrong one.
All right, how are we doing? You ready to talk about it? Or are we still working?
Still working.
Awesome. If you haven't started, let's start. Okay. What is it?
All right, very long. Oh, there it is. Oh, you always watch?
They're watching the board. It's a recording. You can say hi.
Hi. Who do I say hi to?
Whitley and Mason.
Whitley, what's up, girl? You're only this big, honey. I couldn't recognize you.
What's up?
So sad when you don't recognize your own family. Wait, is this one yours or mine?
That one's mine.
Where did you put mine?
I think you took it.
I lost it already?
I don't know. I'm losing my mind. So.
I might have lost it already.
Back there.
Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. I don't know where it is.
There's so much to keep track of, guys.
Because I'm so not going to make it anymore.
This is day 3 and Coach Fogel can't
I
make it.
miss you guys.
Just put it on a different piece of paper and then you'll find your notebook later.
Well, I've got two notebooks.
Oh, I can't help you with that. All right, let's start on our review. So, letter D, number 7. What should I do? Reduce. So I've got 3 and 5, a 3 and 6. I can make that 1 and 2. What else should I do?
Flip them.
Flip. Let's flip the ones that are negative. Flip, flip. That's it. Everything that I didn't circle stays where it's supposed to stay. Everything I did goes to the other side. So I've got x to the 5th on top, x to the 3rd on top, z to the 8th stays on top. On bottom, I'm going to move that x to the 4th, and then I keep everything else that's there. Or y, excuse me, y to the 4th, y to the 5th, z to the 2nd. All right, now what?
Combine like terms.
Divide what?
Combine.
Oh, combine, yes. I'm going to combine my x's and my y's, and then my z's are going up and down. Do I add, subtract, or multiply my x's exponents? Add or subtract or minus? Add.
Oh, those.
X to the 8th, y's become y to the 9th, and then z's.
Subtract the top one from the bottom.
Z to the 6th.
And keep it on the top.
Good. That look good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Next one. Yesterday we talked about this very briefly at the end of class. Let's look at my decimals together, let's look at my 10 to the exponents together. 10 to the exponent's easier for me, so 19 minus 3, minus negative 3, excuse me, is 22. So I've got 10 to the 22nd, and then 36 divided, or 3.6 divided by 1.2. That's just 3.
Yeah.
Is that done?
Yeah, do you have to move the decimal over?
Since it's just 3, technically this would be 3.0, so no. There's no other decimal or no other digit to worry about. If there was, you'd have to move it.
Wait, can you
We might have to do that next time.
How do you do that again?
How to do what? Divide?
The 3.
How to get the 3?
Uh-huh.
I divide 3.6 and 1.2.
Oh, that's it.
You can divide them in your calculator, you can divide it by hand. I know that this is almost 36 and that's almost 12, and they divide to be 3 evenly, so I just did that off the top of my head.
Okay.
For the sake of today, don't need to divide or multiply by hand, you can use a calculator. All right, now I move on to the next one, same idea. I'm gonna do all my decimals together. I'm gonna multiply 1.5 and 8.5 and then divide that by 1.2. Let's see if past me helps me out. Yeah, past me was here for future me. I got 10.625 when I multiplied those two together and then divided by that. Now I gotta do my exponents, so I'm gonna do 10 to the 13th, 10 to the negative 4th. If you add those together, I get 10 to the 9th. And then I'm minusing off that 10 to the 7th. The top will be 10 to the 9th, divided by 10 to the 7th, which will give me 10 to the 2. Am I done here? No? What do I need to do? Move it. If I move this up one to be 1.0625, what does that make my exponent now? 3. Move it up one. Yes. All right, nice little review of what we didn't finish yesterday. How we feeling? Good? Awesome. Let's move on to the next one, P2. It's not complicated. So I've got a axis. What do we call this? Coordinate plane. Coordinate plane. I lost my mind. Yes, right.
What did you do with those? How did you get the 3?
The 3, I did 3.6 divided by 1.2.
Or like the
Oh. When I moved that decimal place one more up, I had to change my exponent. So since I'm moving it to the left, is that your left? It goes up by 1.
Why didn't you? Because before when you did like 13 minus 4, you had to like change it.
13 minus 4 became 9. And then it became.
Before did you have to like end up adding it?
So I did minus here because there's a negative 4. And so I added those two, 13 plus negative 4, and then I minused those exponents and got 2. And you can even think about, instead of moving it towards it, you could make it a normal number. You could make it to the second. I could go back and it would just be 1062.5. And then if I want to make that into a scientific notation, I move the space 1, 2, 3. That's how I end up with the third. Okay. I don't know if I answered that well, so we're going to hit that later, okay? Let's come back to it. All right, P2. We've got a coordinate plane right here. Coordinate plane. Is it an axis of symmetry, or did I lose my, nope, that's not axis of symmetry. I lost my mind. Coordinate plane. See, even math teachers forget stuff over the summer. Coordinate plane, we've got an x-axis. We've got a y-axis.
Oh, that's it.
We've got, what else does it want us to label? Origin. This guy right in the middle is your origin. Again, this is stuff you've learned since like Algebra 1. We're just reminding ourselves so that we know what's happening. What do we call this? This first quadrant is quadrant 1. What do we call the other one? 2. We work our way around. I've always done Roman numerals. Did you guys do Roman numerals or did you do actual numbers? Roman numerals, okay. What I do want to do, I want to do one more added bonus. I want you to tell me what the signs are. So we know that it gives us coordinate points. So you're gonna have like an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Is the x here positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Is the y value positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Now let's go to quadrant 2. Is the x positive or negative?
Negative.
Is the y positive or negative?
Positive.
Perfect. What about quadrant 3?
Negative.
And quadrant 4?
Positive. Negative.
Good. That's not super important today, but it's going to become super important in the future. So I want to just get on the same brain wavelength right there. All right, cool so far? All right, now we're going to plot and label. So we're going to plot points A, B, C. That's easy, right? I'm going to assume we know nothing. X, Y. We have to go over X and then up Y. That's a really trashy. So I'm going to go over 1, down 1. That will be A. Remember from Algebra 1? It's a nice little review. B is 2, 0, so I go over 2 on my x-axis, and I don't go up or down any. B is right there. And then C, I go left 3, 1, 2, 3, and I go down 2, 1, 2. Easy, right? Flip it over. All right, now we're going to evaluate. What do these mean?
Absolute value.
Absolute value, what does that do?
Positive.
Yes, yes, yes. Get rid of the negative, makes it positive. So I've got 6 plus absolute value of negative 6. I'm going to do this piece by piece. I'm going to do the absolute value first and then everything else. This becomes 6 plus 6, which is 12. Good, do the other 3. Do the other 3. All right, check yourself. Did you get what I got?
No.
Which one?
B.
B. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Absolute value of 1 is,
I thought you made the 3.
I think
the
switch to
answer.
that's why we're doing these all, because it's easy to do that. You're like, oh, I'll just get rid of the negative. Nope, once do what's on the operation on the inside and then go. The absolute values are like parentheses, so this is like parentheses around all of this, so I need to do what's inside, and then I'm going to do the absolute value. On letter C, though, I've got absolute values around my negative 5, so I'm going to take the absolute value of that and make it positive 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. Let me show my steps. This becomes absolute value of 1, which is just 1. This is 5 minus 5, which is 0.
Oh.
And then pi minus 4, I made pi 3.14, and so 3.14 minus 4 is going to be negative 0.86, and then absolute value of negative 0.86 is positive 0.86. Okay. All right. Okay so far? All right, let's keep moving. Next part is distance. Does anyone remember the distance formula? We all get shy all of a sudden. They're so quiet.
No one remembers.
No one knows. No one knows. All
I just
right.
remember I avoided it all.
I remember we didn't like it. So I'm on letter 4 or number 4 now. It says find AB, and that means distance. So if it tells you to find that, that means distance. Distance formula has, it's a really hard part to get on. I'm going to say d is distance, and that equals radical x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. It doesn't matter if you have x1 first or x2 first. It doesn't matter if you do the y's first and then the x's. It doesn't matter as long as the x's are together being subtracted, the y's are together being subtracted. And then we're going to square them. The thing about this radical is if we get to a point, whatever number's under here, we also have to simplify it. So we're going to practice simplifying radicals as well. So first one, letter A says my A is at 0.3, 2, and B is at 4, -1. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Plug and check. And you'll find if you do a different x1, y1, different x2, y2, you'll still get the same thing in the end. I'm going to do 4 minus 3, -1 minus 2, 1 squared plus -3 squared. Throw some parentheses in case you're afraid of losing a negative. What's any negative squared? Positive. You will always have positives here. You have a negative, you messed up. 1 squared is 1, 3 squared is 9. Positive plus positive. It should always be positive. Always be positive all day, every day, all the time, every day. Always. Can't say it enough. 1 plus 9 is 10. Can I simplify that? No. If I start making a factor tree, I'm not going to have anything to repeat. So I think the next one we're gonna be able to simplify. Maybe not. Can you set that one up while I write it down?
Yeah, we're doing B, right?
Do B, yes. Check yourself. Did you get what I got? Yeah. You see how I tried to factor tree out and then it didn't work out. 41 doesn't have anything that goes, so root 82 is the best answer. Everyone doing okay with that? All right, let's do last thing. One more thing and then we're gonna eat lunch. This is midpoint. Someone actually started saying midpoint when I said distance. Anyone remember? Nope. No more blood in our brains. No more food in our bodies yet. Midpoint. That's slope.
What?
That's slope. We'll do slope actually later tomorrow, I think.
Oh my God, man, that's not intercept 4.
It's okay. Midpoint is the point. So I've got an X and a Y. I'm going to average the X's, I'm going to average the Y's. So you're doing X1 plus X2 divided by 2.
Oh, okay.
And then Y1 plus Y2 divided by 2. We get really in our head. Sometimes you're like, I gotta memorize all of these formulas. There aren't that many formulas we need to memorize if we know what it means. Midpoint just means the middle distance. So I'm just gonna take the X values and find the middle. I'm gonna take the Y values and find the middle. So let's do an example. Letter A says, A is at 3, 7, and B is at -2, 11. Same thing, label X1, Y1, X2, Y2, add them up, divide by 2. 3 plus -2 over 2, 7 plus 11 over 2. Gives me 1 over 2, gives me 18 over 2, which is 1/2 and 9. Could you write 0.5 instead of 1/2? Yep. Can you try the last one really quick before we go eat? Just while it's in our brain, while it's fresh. One last one. Letter B. You guys get
1, 2.
1, 2, yay. All right, let's go to lunch. 11:55, so we'll be done by like 12:25. So you guys can come back at 12:25. Or you can hang out with us for lunch, I don't care. If you guys need to go get a hot lunch, go get it.
I just need to get a night